you're going through, but you're talking about the need for an attorney in this process.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about a first-time buyer who may be searching for their first agent to work with. Or should they also, while this is going on, if they don't have an attorney, be looking for one? Or is that a case where you can help put them, is that part of the process that you refer them to somebody that you tend to work with? Or
yeah, usually I'll give
work?
people, like for inspection, any referral that I give someone for mortgage, inspection, or attorney, I usually give them, 3 or 4 names,
Okay.
and then I encourage them to talk to the individuals and go with who they feel most comfortable, and ask, like in mortgage, ask not only about the interest rate, but their fees, because that can vary.
Yeah,
Ask the
who
attorney.
assumes the cost of the attorney's fees?
The buyer.
The buyer.
Right. But I tell you, it's well worth it. Yeah, my husband and I bought a lot of homes, and we've used, and the secret is to have a real estate attorney.
Yeah.
Because any attorney can handle a closing, but a real estate attorney knows what to look for.
Right.
On the title and that. And I've had the attorneys here pick up on some things that agents probably would not have picked up on had it been in an area where they didn't use attorneys. And the reason I think I was not living here at the time, but I think there was a lawsuit in the 80s. The Chicago bar, is my understanding, sued a real estate company and said that because they were doing more than filling in blanks, they were practicing law. Maybe they would be filling out an addendum or something like that. So that's kind of how it got started here.
Okay.
But the attorneys are very good.
Elsewhere, they're not as involved in the
In
process?
a lot of parts of the country, yeah, you don't have real estate attorneys. As I said, my husband and I have used them.
Yeah.
We had in our sale in Virginia, we used one, which we were very thankful for, because the person selling the property was an attorney. His friend was an attorney who handled his purchase, and yet our attorney found out that the people that he bought from, it was an older couple, and they had been divorced, but they were still living in the same house. The neighbors didn't even know they were divorced.
Huh.
So he had to go back and check the death records to make sure they died in the correct order, to make sure that no one was entitled and could come back and say, we're entitled to this property. So it was really interesting. Yeah, it was interesting. It was something that our agent wouldn't have picked up, we wouldn't have picked up.
No.
But he knew enough about it. When he saw that, it kind of was a red flag, and said, okay, let's make sure that this guy really owns this property and there's not somebody that can come against it.
Huh. Okay. Let's talk about the unique situation in which an agent is representing both a buyer and a seller.
That's called dual agency.
That sounds like a strange situation for all parties involved. Do you ever
It's
handle?
very rare. In all the transactions I've had dual agency maybe 2 times, 3 times at the most.
Yeah.
And what you have to do is you have to be very conscious of anything that the seller told you as their listing agent. You're not entitled to reveal to the buyer unless given permission. Same
Right.
is true for the buyer. Anything the buyer tells you, you're not allowed to disclose without permission.
Okay.
So you really have to kind of wear 2 hats and just
Yeah.
turn
And-
around and treat it differently.
Sounds like playing chess against yourself or something.
I guess. I don't play chess, but, I don't, the time I had it, I had a business partner. So, that person handled one side of the transaction and I handled the other. I
Okay.
don't think I've ever had it where I've done both sides myself.
But that does happen.
It can, sure. Yeah,
Why would that ever?
At both parties have to agree to it at the time of contract, and
Right.
they have to sign a paper
Okay.
saying they agree to allow the agent to represent, to be dual agent. And some people, if one of the parties decides doesn't want it, then you just get another agent involved during the negotiating period or during the remainder of the transaction.
Okay.
And then generally they'll get paid.
Right.
Yeah.
One other thing that I mentioned this before, but we didn't really get into it, was when you ultimately get your commission, where does that come from? That comes from?
Yeah, it used to be that all agents worked for sellers because the sellers paid the commission.
Right.
Then the states began to realize, and we had an agent tell us that in DC, as I said, this is before I was an agent, and she
Okay.
said, you know, we all work for the seller. It was like, well, you have no obligation to look out for our best interests, so we don't really feel obligated to stick with you.
Yeah, that doesn't seem fair at all.
No. So then the states realized that wasn't fair. So now, then they passed laws saying that the buyers are entitled to representation. The seller still pays the commission,
Right.
but the buyers are entitled to representation. So what happens is in the MLS, it'll say the co-op commission. So I will never know what the commission is, the commission agreement between the seller and the listing company, but I will know what they're offering a buyer's agent. And in Chicago, it's
In
generally...
terms of a percentage?
It's generally 2.5% minus like $200.
Okay.
And so that check then is not written to me, it's written to my company.
Right.
Prudential SourceOne.
Yeah.
And then they keep their portion, and then I get paid my portion.
Okay. The thing that still seems strange about that is that if you're still getting a percentage, or if your company is still getting a percentage of the sale price, it seems that during the negotiation process, it would, you know, serve you to take a higher offer and not to negotiate a lower price for the buyer.
If I'm representing the buyer,
Yeah.
a couple bucks. Doesn't make that, I'd much rather have a
I mean,
a
yeah, I
happy,
understand
pleasant-
once it channels through your office and then to.
No, but I mean, I'd much rather have a happy buyer who felt that I did the best to present their offer
Mhm.
and get them to contract at a price where they're very happy and satisfied in a home they're gonna be happy in.
Right.
Because who knows how many potential buyers or listings I'll get from that.
Right, you'll
You know,
get
rather
the
than
referrals
yeah,
down
rather
the
than
road.
try and push the price up.
Yeah,
You know, it's true, that's how we get paid, but I have no relationship with that seller. My
Okay.
relationship is with that buyer.
all right.
And I would say almost all agents that I know are like that. There could be some out there who look at that, but, you know, that's in every business.
Yeah, of course.